Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Call Your Mom podcast. We're always celebrating around here because there's always something to celebrate. And I know that sounds silly, but I feel like in life you should celebrate even the little things, right, Mom?
Oh my gosh, yes. Every day of life is a gift. You should celebrate it.
Exactly. That's why we're in PJs because tomorrow's Halloween. So we thought we'd get a little bit festive and wear some spooky PJs. And I think we got ours together. They're both Snoopy.
Yes, they're so cute and they're so soft. I feel like I'm in a cloud.
They are really soft. Well, today we have a spooky episode for you, but I
Ooh.
do want to start by addressing something. So I know I'm not in the typical Call Your Mom studio right now because I'm in Arizona right now, guys. Remember our last episode where I talked about I was heading to Arizona for the MLB Fall League? Well, here I am, here now with my husband. So it's been good though.
Yeah, I think you really enjoyed it, right? You guys have been going to the games. You got your own setup, your own apartment. You're, kind of getting into the rhythm of life over there, right?
I am. I'm having so much fun. I actually like Arizona a lot more than I thought, and I can see why a lot of people move here. It is so much fun. And we got our own little setup. We've been doing some fun things, even Halloween things. We had a boo night. You can see that on my Instagram. It was super fun.
That was so cute. I was like, oh, love.
Okay, well, it's funny that we're talking about my relationship and now I'm married. And today's episode is all about, drum roll please,
Go.
the Ghoul Friends Guide to Dating Scaries. Okay, as much as I love my husband, I did have to date before finding him, obviously. So I have some fun stories, and my mom is about to hit up the dating scene. So this will be interesting.
I'm a
So we'll talk.
little spooked, but
You're a little scared.
yeah.
So we'll talk about some of, our experiences as well as some of our friends' experiences and just laugh and then talk about like crazy scenarios. So let us know. Make sure to send us a DM if you have had any of this happen to you or know someone who's has happened to, because we would love to know your stories.
Yes. And especially the funny dating stories. I was just reading some yesterday and I was crying. I was laughing so hard. I just can't even imagine being in those situations, but God bless the women that have endured them and made it out on the other side.
Oh my gosh, that article was hilarious. So we were doing research, obviously, for this episode, and my mom sends me this episode, and it was or this article, and it was so funny. Like the his family owned / ran a funeral home, did not have an issue with that, but he spent the later part of the dinner telling me what kind of makeup techniques he would use on me if I died.
That is so, I would be like, I don't even know. My mouth would just be dropped open. I don't even know. Maybe I would play into it and be like, really? Would you contour?
Like totally
That's
joke
just
throughout the whole entire thing.
yeah. I mean, that is really kind of that would be creepy.
That would be the scariest date ever. I don't even know. Like, here's how I would do I don't know. I don't like that. That's creepy.
I feel like it's a red flag.
Yeah. And if that man's still on the dating scene, that's why. Unless someone likes that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to dive into some spooky dating things. And so we'll start with the first one. Okay. When your ex texts you, return of the ghosted. Okay.
Ooh.
It's so funny we're saying this because my mom's ex texts her all the time because they're still getting divorced.
Yeah. And we share 3 kids. So, there's that.
And then I haven't gotten obviously this recently. It would be really weird if an ex texted me now, especially because I'm almost 2 years into my marriage and 7 years into my relationship. And I'm pretty sure some of my exes are married themselves. However, I have had this happen to me several times. And actually, this happened to me when I first started dating Johnny.
I remember this. I know what story you're about to tell.
So I had my spooky moment. which I've had a few of these, but my spooky moment would be actually the first time I went to Johnny's family's like game night and I had an ex text me and Johnny's like, let me handle this. But picture this, everyone. Okay, Johnny's younger than me. At the time, he was 19. I was 21. Okay, so I had been on like in my 20s and teens, like dating already. And then I was Johnny's first girlfriend. So this was like a huge experience for him. Okay, so I obviously didn't text him back. I just said, hey, I'm with someone now. I'm so sorry. Like, hope to see you another time, right?
Yeah.
Really not. I don't want to see them. But most girls, let's ask, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, would you text your ex back if they did text you when you were in like a new relationship?
I think ghost back. I just think if you've moved on and you're in a new relationship, there's a reason they're your ex, right? There's a reason they're behind you. And you've moved forward and you should just keep your eyes on the future and on what's in front of you and not look back. So I say ghost. I say
I
ghost them.
agree. I
Yeah.
totally said the question wrong, guys. It was when the boo from your past reappears, should you
Oh.
ghost back or give him a haunting reply?
Oh.
And I agree, ghost back. Why are you going to waste your time on that?
Yeah, I say don't look back. Who cares? It's in the past. Let it be in the past. You've got a bright future ahead and there's a reason they're back there. So,
Exactly. Especially like if they're like a bad ex, like someone who was like
yeah.
really hurt you, had a lot of red flags.
Yeah.
I
I
had
think
an ex. Go ahead.
I was just go ahead. You tell your story.
It's the Zoom system we have to use, everyone. It delays us. We don't hear each
Yes.
other.
That's okay. Go.
No, go ahead. You go first.
Oh, I was just going to say I think a lot of times people get tempted to send a haunting reply because they like want the last word or they want the person to say something that they actually want to hear. Like they want to get a reply that will satisfy them because they feel like they need closure. But I feel like if they're your ex, that is your closure. So close the door and lock it and throw away the key.
I guess it's that revenge element that a lot of women are like, ooh, they hurt me, so I want to hurt them back.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, as the Scorpio in me, I 100% understand that. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like, I want to stab you
Yeah.
back. However, some of the best revenge is just living your best life and actually being happy.
Yes. I
I had a
100% agree.
I had an ex tell me, and my mom knows this, when he broke up with me or when I broke up with him. Kind of confusing, mixed. He was like, "You'll never find anyone better than me ever. Your family's going to love me forever. I'm going to be more successful, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, it's so true. Crying, right, mom? I'm like, and
Yes.
my mom's rolling her eyes. She's like, you're like 18 years old. Take a chill pill. You're going to find someone else. Well, fast forward 3 years, I find Johnny and everyone likes him better. Everyone.
Our whole family, just for the record, loves Johnny more than that person. So they were very wrong because I don't even like that person.
Neither do I. All my friends didn't like him. They all thought he was an idiot. And honestly, now I'm dating a professional athlete.
Yeah.
So I think I got my revenge.
Yeah.
So, ladies, remember, sometimes the revenge is just in the glow up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, number 2, dating apps. Okay, mom, I know you have set up dating apps for your friends. I know you've gone
Yes.
on it like once or twice, and I've obviously done them before. Okay, so dating apps, tricks or treats? In the dating app cauldron, ooh, like that. What's a treat and what's a trick, and how can you spot the difference?
Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, shirtless photos are a no-go. That is a trick.
Absolutely.
And even though sometimes it looks like a treat, it's definitely not a treat. It's just a trick.
Because they love themselves.
Yes. And they're just trying to get as many ghouls as possible. And I just feel like you have to be really selective with who you're swiping on, because if a man has lots of pictures of himself shirtless, you know, selfies, there's the selfies. Oh gosh, those are another where they're just really
And they're not
feeling
just like
themselves.
I was gonna say, it's not just like a selfie with like a smile. It's like the
No.
sexy, like they're like, ooh, like trying
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
like those cringy videos of the guys singing those songs.
Oh my gosh. I know who you're talking about. It's just like TikTok guys or whatever.
Yeah, they sing
Yeah.
like the like country love songs and they're like
Yes. I have to tell you, believe it or not, there's men my age doing that shirtless.
I
There is a
know,
guy
and it's
on
extra
Instagram.
cringe.
Oh, it's so bad. There's a guy on Instagram that everybody kind of brings up because he does that. And it just makes you, I don't even know how I got on his page one day, but Instagram drops you off in all kinds of places. And I just remember feeling uncomfortable. I was like, okay, this makes me feel so like uncomfortable. And obviously I swiped away, but it was funny that I saw other people commenting on a whole different page about that guy. And but yes, it was that type of thing where he was lip syncing shirtless. And I was like, oh.
So many comedians make fun of this. And I
Yes.
mean, if you're going to do thirst trap, I guess do the thirst trap with confidence.
Yeah. If that's your thing and that's the kind of guy you want, then, go for it. But I just think that I think that's a trick. I don't think that's a treat.
Yeah, I don't think that's a treat either. Okay,
Yeah.
so my trick I would say would be when there's a girl on the page on like in the photo
Oh, yeah.
and it's just him and the girl
Yeah.
and he says
It's
it's his
like,
sister or his
yeah.
cousin or his aunt or his you know like okay. I've had so many times where it ends up being like an actual girlfriend and then you're like why would you even do that? Why would you even put it up there? Or an
I know.
ex-girlfriend when they put their
Yeah.
ex-girlfriend up there, that's a big one. And they're like, "I just like the photo of myself." Oh,
Yeah. I'm like,
please.
there's a thing called crop. You could crop.
Yeah. Just crop it a little bit.
Yeah. Just a little.
So, I think
So
that's personally a trick.
yeah, I do too. I think it's you just have to be selective and kind of take it with a grain of salt, because I think the dating apps are pretty um I don't know. Do people take them seriously? I don't know.
I guess there's one called like Coffee and Bagels. I think
Oh my
I could be
gosh,
messing this
yes.
up. That's like the
I
serious the serious one.
That's the only one I've ever set a profile up on, ever. And then I
Coffee
deleted
and
it with
Bagels? I
yes, and I
don't
I deleted it within a month. I was like, this is boring. I was like, eh.
That is actually hilarious. So I've had Bumble, I've had Hinge, and I've had Tinder before. Tinder, obviously, I never ever went on a date with anyone on Tinder. I went on dates with people on Bumble, and then when, so believe it or not, me and Johnny broke up. Story time.
Just kidding.
So when I broke up with Johnny, my friend Maddie was in the car, but I said, I just don't think we're in the same bowl of soup. We don't match. She was like, "Who says that?" I don't know what to say. Anyway, that's not part of the story. I actually used Hinge as like my I'm going to find someone else thing, even though my husband was relentlessly chasing after me and he just loved me and I love him now. But I secretly loved him but didn't want to admit it. Remember, Mom?
Oh yeah, I do. I remember all of it.
Which is so funny because, like, I don't know why. I think I just didn't want to be in love like Meg from Hercules.
Yes.
But I used Hinge and I almost went on a few dates with guys off Hinge because it like offers like the different questions and like prompts so you can read a little bit more about them versus like Tinder I felt like was just like swipe and then I felt Bumble was the same way. However, my best friend just got married to her husband and since childhood and she met her husband on Bumble.
Oh, wait, is this yes, I know who it is.
Yes,
Yes.
you could say it.
Okay.
Shannon. Shout out
Shannon.
to Shannon.
Shout out to Shannon.
She won't care.
For meeting her husband on Bumble.
But yeah, they met on Bumble. Remember during their wedding vows, they talked about it. And
Yes.
I mean, he's a great guy. So like, I feel like, you can always wait. I think Jenna and Brandon met on a dating app too, but oh no, they met at the gym.
Aw, that's super cute.
Yeah. Right. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, you and Johnny met in real life, and you don't hear a lot of those stories, I feel like. I feel like everybody meets on apps, I guess. I don't know.
No, I did not meet Johnny on a dating app. But you girls, if you're out there still swiping, don't fall for the tricks, which
Yeah.
are shirtless. Like a lot of women fall for the tricks. The shirtless men who are only posting themselves in sexy shirtless photo pictures, big
Yes.
red flag. They love themselves. Honestly, go for a little bit of the nerd. The guy that doesn't know how to take his photo, but like could be good looking in person, but takes really bad photos of themselves. Key to success right there, ladies.
Good advice. Really good advice.
It is. I
I'm
actually
gonna
met some really good guys like choosing that route and ended up just being friends with them, like line dancing when I was younger. And they were just great people in general, even though we just didn't have chemistry. And, but I always chose, like, my friends would be like, I don't know, I don't like this photo of him. I'm like, but he's like good looking, but it's just a bad photo. And then I go on the date and they're better looking in person.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I always say, like, choose a guy that's just a dude, just like a kind of regular dude, and you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I know I'm going to get so much hate for saying this, but choose the
So
guy holding up the fish.
oh my gosh, yes. I 100% agree with you. I feel like just like again, like just the dude. He's just a dude. Like
Yeah.
he's a guy. Yeah.
Wait, I think I got one more for this one before we move to the next
Okay.
one. What do you think about dogs or puppies? Like, is there a difference between the two? Like, if they're holding or a kitten and a cat, like, okay, if they're holding a little kitten, like, oh, this is my little cat, like, is it like a swipe or is it like that's like a grab? You know what I mean?
Okay, first of all, the question is it actually their pet? Like, are they just borrowing it for the photo? Because then that's a total trick. Okay.
Actually,
So,
I've had that happen. I've had that happen
yeah.
on a swipe. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, your
So,
dog's so cute. And they're like, it's not my dog. I'm like,
yeah. It's like you're being catfished by their pets and it's not their pet. So, I guess it's like just depends. I feel like you have to ask, like, hey, is that actually your pet? And do you actually like animals?
which I feel like is a red flag. If they don't like animals, it's a red
Yeah.
flag.
No, could never date someone who doesn't love animals.
Like, at least like them. Like, maybe they don't want to own one. I get that, like, responsibility, whatever. Okay. But, like, if
Yeah.
they're like, I don't like animals, like, they don't even see a dog and think, oh, that's cute. Like, or it's nice, or like, I'll pet it. Red flag.
What is it? Swipe left? I think it's swipe left, right? I don't
Yeah. When
know.
you don't want them, swipe left. When you
Okay.
do, swipe right. Like, if you want to connect with them,
Yeah.
swipe right.
I'll go on my
So
friends' Bumbles and I'll accidentally swipe the wrong way and I get in trouble. But anyways.
I think Auntie Terry, my aunt, she has some of the funniest like dating app stories.
Yeah, she's got some goodies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got some crazy ones. Okay,
Yeah.
we gotta go to the next one because of time.
Yeah.
So, number 3, I have done this. I feel like every girl has done this, but dating their potential, falling for their phantom. Ooh.
I have
Have you?
given you. Oh,
I
go
was gonna
ahead.
ask you a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, go. No, you go.
Have you ever fallen for someone's potential rather than who they really are? How can you tell if it's real or just a ghostly illusion?
Ooh. Well, I feel like I've given you guys this advice a lot over the years, you and your friends over
I know
your
what you're going to
dating
say.
careers. And I think a lot of times I will tell you girls, you know, what you see is what you get pretty much. And don't wait around and try to change somebody because a lot of times if someone wants to change, they're going to do it themselves. You are not going to do it for them. And I feel like a lot of times women go into a relationship with a little bit of a fantasy about somebody in their mind about what they could be or what they could become. And they want to love them enough to be good enough to completely change that person and change whatever it is about them. Maybe they had a bad past relationship and they're just too scared to get into one, or, they're working on their trauma from family things or whatever it may be. You think, well, there's such a good guy in all these other areas, but this one area is just really bad. I think I could change him. And let me tell you, ladies, you're wasting your time.
I was going to say, absolutely waste of time.
Yeah.
Because more often than not, people are people, they are who they are. And I'm not saying people can't change, but it does take life lessons for them to change, not a person to make them change. Because you can only tell a person so many ways to do something or so many ways to be something and till you're blue in the face, and they just won't do it until they're actually thrown something at life that is going to make them that person. And sometimes they don't ever become that person. They become someone else. They go through different life lessons. And so it's so important to find the foundation in someone with the same values, the same morals as you, and also someone that's going to treat you with respect right out the gate. I have so many times where, and myself personally, where there were so many red flags in the beginning, but I ignored them because I thought in my head, this person was one way and they really weren't. Whether or not they were a bad person or not, those flags just may have not been the correct thing for me or my personality.
Yeah.
So I know like dating for potential is a huge like thing for a lot of girls. Also dating for what you think you want. That's a big one too. So you
Mm-hmm.
see someone and you think them, they're like, wow, you think they're going to be this one person for you, right? And they meet all of your criteria, right? What's in your head. And then you get into the relationship and you have a lot of arguments, or maybe you don't align on certain things and you find out, wow, maybe like this person isn't who I thought in my head. And maybe those are some of the things that I don't want in a person. And so I think that's important as well, because I have found myself in situations when I was dating where I thought I wanted one type of person, and I thought, and their potential was so great, so amazing. And then they get into a relationship and you just butt heads all the time. And then what you think they are going to be is not what they want to be. And then you try to like make things and force things and do things. And then it just doesn't work out. And one thing about myself, when I met my husband, I was in a place where I was like, I'm not going to do that with anyone. I'm just going to go on this date. I'm going to see what it turns into. It's just like practice. Well, slowly what happened was I fell in love with who Johnny was at his core and in his heart, rather than seeing what he could be, if that makes sense. And he proved that to me over and over and over again. I didn't have to force it out of him or wait and hope and pray that one day he would do it. He would take little steps here and there to make sure and know that, hey, I am the one for you. And it's funny? He still does that. A great example would be I was in the closet today, ladies, feeling a little insecure like we always do. And he walks in and said, hey, honey, what's going on? I said, oh, I just feel a little off today. I feel a little insecure. And he said, okay, and hugs me and looks me in the eye and says, you are the most beautiful and wonderful, amazing woman ever. And I love every little bit of you from your toes to your head. And I wish I could record it. It was really cute. And then he kissed me on my forehead and said, you're going to have a great podcast. So
Oh, that is cute. I love that. Those are the things I love about Johnny. I always see how he treats you with the love that you need. And I always say kid gloves because of what you've walked through in your life. And I love that about him, how he loves you that way. And I was just going to add to what you were saying about dating for potential is I think a lot of times we aren't clear about our expectations. We don't even know what our expectations are when we're dating. And so we're just going in kind of willy-nilly, and we don't have an idea of what our boundaries are. We don't have an idea of like what our expectations are. Do you want a man to open the door for you? Are you expecting
mhm.
him to call you And or to come outside to the car? Are you expecting him to come knock on the door? I mean, there's a lot of things, but we don't have any kind of idea of what the expectation is. Therefore, we don't put that out there. Then we're disappointed because we have kind of again, like a fantasy in our mind of what we think things should look like. But then we're choosing people that don't meet those same ideals or don't share
Mm-hmm.
those same ideals. And sometimes maybe they don't share them at first, but if you communicated them, then maybe that person will step up. So there
Yep.
is a little potential sometimes, but once you've maybe shared those ideals and those expectations, and that person doesn't show in their actions that they want to meet you there, then that's when you say, okay, I'm not going to fall in love with potential. I'm going to actually just let this one get away because there are plenty of fish in the sea. I'm going to go fishing again.
You go fishing.
Yeah.
And it's so good that you said that. And I just want to add one more thing to that. I think when it comes to what I said with my husband is from the beginning, my husband did that to all the way 7 years later, he's doing that. There was no, I had to tell him, and some things you're going to have to, that happens with marriage and dating as you keep on going. But there was this foundation of who John was when I met him. And he really is still that person to this day. Maybe just a more mature version, but he is that same person. So, and I know I can count on him in certain things. And so I think a lot of women, when we are dating and we're looking for people, we see that potential, but we forget that we also want to count on the person. So you're dating and you're not getting the things that you want. But you're dating for that potential of that thought of them, that excitement, right? And you're chasing after it. But then you're losing that foundation of trust that is built when someone is just already who they are versus who you're praying that they're going to be.
Exactly.
So I really think that's like a big thing. Anyway, okay. So there was two questions to this, but I think we kind of hit it. So you tell me if we did hit this or not. What's
Okay.
scary? Realizing you're in love with a vision of who they could be or facing who they actually are. How do you shift your focus back to reality? Actually, we didn't really answer this, so we can.
Yeah. Um, I actually think it'd be scarier to get down the train tracks in a relationship and realize that I've invested and I'm in love with someone's potential versus who they actually are. And waking up and realizing, gosh, I've spent so much time trying to change this person, hoping that they would change, hoping that they would meet my expectations. And, realizing I've invested my emotions and all my time and energy into it, and they're not my person. I
Mm,
actually think that would be harder than realizing kind of upfront, you know, this really isn't the person for me and just moving on. I feel like that to me would be a harder route because then a lot of times I find that women stay in relationships because they've already invested so much time. And so then they're like, well, I've already invested so much time into this. So I don't want to like just throw it away when in all reality, you know, sometimes you just need to walk away so that you don't waste any more time.
I agree with that because a lot of women will go down a road for several years waiting and praying that this person's going to change or turn around and look at you and go, "Oh my gosh, yes, you are the one. Here's the ring." And then they don't do it and they wait a long time and it's sad. And I just sometimes, like, when I see a girl do that, I want to shake them and be like, "You are so amazing. What is wrong with you? Go out and get yourself a man who's going to go all in for you," because there are men out there who are willing to do that. And one thing that I heard on a podcast, not our podcast, obviously, but another podcast, and I can't remember the name of the podcast. And mom, you could attest to this. This kind of goes along with this. Men who date women for a really, really long time and then they break up with the woman, meet another woman, and marry them within 4 months or 5 months.
Mhm.
It happens more often than not. And you and I talk about this all the time is we don't place the expectations like you talked about earlier down of what we're looking for and what we want. And we patiently just sit there and wait for them to look at us and go, "I'm going to change. I
Yeah.
want you, baby. I'm going to do it."
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't. But we didn't set those expectations from the start.
Yeah. We kind of sit around and wait for them to tell us how things are going to go. And a relationship is give and take. It isn't, you know, oh, well, whatever you say, I'm just going to wait and hope that you do something really nice for me, or that he finally comes around and decides to put a ring on my finger. I think a lot of times, you know, women, we're very intuitive. We
We are.
know
Mm-hmm.
when someone's playing us. We know when, a guy's excuse me, dragging his feet. We know that, you know, we know we're intuitive beings. And I think a lot of times it's very hard to be honest with ourselves about that. Again, it comes back to
Mm-hmm.
we've put in time and, our energy
Yeah.
and our emotions. And it can feel scary to let go because we don't know what's out there. But we don't know what's out there because we're too afraid to go find out. And, I think a lot of times I always want to tell young women, listen, I'm 45 years old and you're very young. You are dating in the ocean.
Yeah.
I am now dating in a pond. So the dating pool is so vast and so big for you young women. So if you let go now of the wrong person, you have a chance to catch the most amazing catch. Your person, what is it from Friends? Your lobster. And I now am fishing in a pond. So don't wait so long to the point that your ocean starts shrinking to, a lake and then a river and then a pond.
And then one day you too can hold up your fish like those guys in the dating
That's right.
apps.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I do with Johnny, everyone. Okay, we have to go to the next one. Okay, bro dudes. Bro or boo? What's scarier? His obsession with bro culture or realizing you might need to swipe left? What are the signs? Okay, this is so funny. I'm the one that brought up this. And this may be speaking to younger women, but I feel like there's more and more men in their 30s who think that they're still a frat boy. Personally, I still think that's around. Um, just from my friends talking about it. But what are your thoughts on it, Mom? Like, yes to bro dudes, no to bro dudes. There's nice bro dudes, but like, is there a point when they grow? Like, when do they grow up? Kind of idea.
Okay, so there are bro dudes my age.
I know. In
It's
their 40s and
crazy.
50s.
Yeah, and it is wild to watch, and it just feels like, wow, you're just like Peter Pan. You never want to grow up.
Oh my
But
gosh, I was going to say that.
jinx. But I think that, you know, I I guess if you want to fall in love with potential, and I think a lot of them are adult men that are still living out their young childhood dreams. I'm not really
Bruh,
sure. I feel like
bruh,
you have more
bruh,
experience. Yeah.
bruh.
I feel like when I've met like men that are my age that are bro dudes, I'm just like, yeah, I can't take it seriously.
Okay. So bro dudes I picture are like the frat guys, but it does make sense because when I stopped dating, I was 21. So like that is in my head. But if I were to think about like if I was out on the dating scene now, for example, I'd be dating probably guys in their like late 20s, early 30s, right? Because I'm 28 almost. I'll be 28 next week, guys. So getting old. Just joking.
You're just
But
a baby.
I'm just a baby. I don't want to hear 30s around the corner. So no one say that to me. But yeah, if I was on the dating scene, I think of a bro guy as kind of like a finance bro. But a lot of people like the finance bros because they like the financial security. But a lot of those guys don't want to settle down. So my friends are out here dating. I have a friend who's been dating out in the dating scene for a while. And she goes, "Oh yeah, those guys are the worst because they usually just want to hook up and they also brag about how much like money or where their corporate job is or this is and they want to talk about football. Like there's never like any depth. But I feel like that is putting them all into a category. So I feel bad just saying
Yeah.
no if they're not all that way, maybe they do have a heart. Because look at Jet, Pookie's husband.
Oh, yeah. He has a big
I know
heart.
he has a big heart. I don't know if he's a bro, but he kind of gives off that vibes, like the
Yeah.
football, and she loves it. She's living her best life. I want the Pookie life. Everyone wants Pookie's life, right?
Everyone wants the Pookie life. I think for me, I just think about like where we live personally. It's, you know, the bro dudes, I guess for me, it's a turnoff because they usually want to date very young. They're
Oh yeah, for
my
your age,
age
yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
they're 45, 50, 55, and they want to date 22 to 25-year-old girls. So
Yeah, you're
whatever,
right
to
there.
each their own. But, that's kind of
It's
what,
like Leonardo DiCaprio with his once you're 25, you're out.
yeah, 100%. That is, you nailed it. No more words need to be spoken about it.
Okay, so on to the next one. Mama's boys, mommy's little monster. Okay, so when dating a mama's boy, how do you tell if he's sweet or if his relationship with his mom is a bit too haunted? Okay,
um,
so mama's boys are like, I think that's just an automatic, like, no, right?
um, okay.
Do you have experience with mama boys?
Okay, your dad was sort of a mama's boy when I first met him. He was
That
like
makes
the
sense.
golden child, like literally could do no wrong, was just ugh, like the angel. And I will have to say that mama's boys can grow a backbone. I experienced that and watched it, and he did do that at one point. So, um, there is potential there with mama's boys. It can change, but I don't know. It just, I think, depends on the man and the relationship he has with his family and with you.
Okay, this is what I'm going to say, and then we'll leave it at this. I think
Okay.
there's a very line. There is a line. There is too much, and then there is what you just said. Because if they're like holding hands, skipping down the street, going to ride a Ferris wheel together, I would say that's a no. But if they're like, the mom's a little overbearing and she likes to like do things and like really fold his laundry or whatever, I feel like they'll grow out of that, if that makes sense, hopefully. Especially if you
Yeah.
kick their butt a little bit.
Yeah. 100%.
That's all the mama boy talk.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's really controversial. Splitting the bill on the first date, trick or cheat? Is it a red flag if he asks you to split the bill, or does it depend on how he does it?
Okay. I'm old school. I'm not splitting the bill. If you ask me out on a date, I am not splitting the bill. And if you ask me to split the bill, I'm probably going to stand up and say thanks for dinner and walk out. And
Yeah.
I know that sounds extreme, but I just think that if a man asks you out, he should pay for dinner. And I think that's just the way it should be. You should be treated like a lady. But not everyone agrees with me, and that's okay because you know what? We're allowed to have our own decisions and our own opinions in this world, right?
Yep. I agree. Okay. So I think the same exact way. I think it is a trick. Do he needs to pay for the bill? Hands down,
Yeah.
pay for the bill. That's it. That's all we need. I think enough said.
Yeah, I do too.
Because wait, have you real quick? Have you seen those reels where they're like the makeup costs this much and it like adds up, and they're like, this is why men pay the bill.
Oh my gosh, I have seen those. Those are funny. But I was just going to add one thing. I will say there's a time where you do split. Like, I know a lot of my friends, when they do the online dating, they'll meet for coffee and they'll just go buy their own coffee. Like when they get there, they'll buy their own coffee and,
Oh, that's
because
smart.
you're just meeting to see if you even have chemistry to even go on a date. And so I just
Yeah.
think there's a time and a place, but I think ultimately when it's a big date, when it's you're getting ready and he's taking you to dinner and it's really nice, I just think the man should pay. I think you're a princess and you deserve to be treated as such.
I agree, especially if you're like actually going to dinner and it's not like coffee or anything.
Yeah.
I think it also shows to I think it also kind of makes the man feel manlier, if that makes sense. I know there is later on in the relationship if you want to pay for something. I'm not saying forever, but
Yeah.
um eventually I think you could pay for something. But like on the first date, I think it kind of helps them like show their gentleman like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Next one. Video games. Love potion or poison? When he's glued to his games, how do you tell if it's harmless fun or relationship curse in the making? So I have a lot of experience with this, everyone. My husband loves his video games. And when we first started dating, it was a super turn on for me. But I have learned to love it in its own way, if that makes sense. And he and I have come to like some sort of agreement around it. But I'll get to that. I think we need to mention that poll that was online. I forgot where it was. Do you remember who did it?
I, I can't remember who did it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, it was a poll basically for women, and women found video games less attractive than taxidermy and collecting dolls.
So we need to put a poll up on our Instagram and find out if that's actually true. Let us
Yeah,
know.
so make sure you go vote because we're really curious. However, I find those two more unattractive than video games.
Same. I would not want to have a boyfriend or a husband that collected dolls. That just would be a turnoff and really weird to me. And or a man that stuffs dead animals as a hobby. I don't think I could do it. I just
I don't
couldn't.
think I can do it either. Even if it's just like a
So,
deer head, I just
yeah.
can't.
But
That
I
grosses
think
me
video
out.
games, I know a lot of women have a like tough time with video games and they feel like they have to put like some restrictions, like relational restrictions and an agreement with their husband around them because they can get all consuming. So I know it is a thing.
So when you're dating, it's a little different because you're not with them all the time. So like the video games, it's kind of like in the back of your head. However, when you get married, it is different because you're living with the person. So I have seen both extremes where like the girl's like doing everything and all he does is play video games like 12 hours a day with his friends and doesn't paying attention to you. And then there's the other side where it's just like a little bit here and there. And to be honest, video games used to really, really bother me, especially when I was dating, because I had this biggest fear in the back of my head that when I got married, my husband was just going to play video games and never talk to me and just ignore me all day. And that didn't happen nor come true. And I'm here to tell you more often than not, I kind of want him to play video games so I can like play a show or take a bath or read my book. And he gets to go hang out with his friends or I'll go to dinner with my friends. And then when I come home, he's like, "Oh, I'm done. Let's hang out together. Let's watch our TV show. Let's do this." So we do schedule it around like that kind of. And
Mhm.
so it doesn't really bother me anymore. And honestly, too, he plays a lot like when we were doing long distance. And with baseball guys are known for cheating. So for me, it really helped knowing like my husband would rather like be at home playing video games with his buddies online that he's known since he was childhood, since he was a child, than out at the bars with the other single guys. Like I know Johnny wouldn't cheat on me, but what I'm saying is at least he's not in that environment, right? If
Mhm.
there's not even the temptation or the thought. And video games kind of helped seal that deal. So, and I just need to say one more thing. Henry Calville plays video games.
And he's perfect. Just saying, ladies.
So I'll make sure I'll put his photo up so you guys could see him. But Henry Calville plays video games. He's like a super nerd, I guess. So I think the secret sauce is in dating the nerds because they have really tender hearts. I'm totally for it.
Same.
I was like, okay, I'm married a nerd. That's why. So, which is funny because he is an athlete too, but he's a nerd, I think, before an athlete at heart.
Yeah.
Okay, reading the red flags, spooky signs. How do you spot the spooky signs that something might not be in a new relationship? You go watch the man that runs around saying red flags, green flags until you learn what a red flag is. Just joking.
I love him. I follow him. I can't remember his name, but ladies, you should follow him. He is so funny, but he's so spot on.
He is, and he runs with his giant red flag or his giant
Y-
green
Green
flag.
flag. He's so
I think
funny.
I think a lot of women ignore the red flags.
Yeah. We think they're like, I don't know, signs that the circus is happening in town. I don't know why we do that.
I don't know why we do that either, but honestly, I think spotting the red flags is a little hard at first, especially if you've got your ruby red glasses on. Is that the saying?
Oh, your rose colored glasses, but they can
Your
be ruby
rose.
red.
My Dorothy. Uh, your rose colored glasses on because it goes back to the potential. You're seeing the best in someone. And as a girl, a fellow girl who has a big heart and a mom who has a really big heart, you know, don't find lost puppies and try to fix them.
Yes, girls, I would tell Sierra and her friends all the time, do not go find the lost puppies and try to train them and fix them and shelter them and
And
raise
nurture
them
them.
and nurture them. You need to just find a dog that's already trained.
Oh my gosh. I mean, finding like a person that's already trained, as my mom said, I'm just joking. No, but really
Women,
finding someone who's already got the actual like things that you want down, those expectations that we talked about earlier, finding someone who's going to open your door, do those things is a lot easier than being like looking at someone to be like, are you going to open my door? Are you going to bring me flowers? Because you don't want to ask for those things. You want them to just happen to you and then
Mhm.
feel loved and feel pretty and feel girly. And so that is what we mean by that.
Yes. And also, I think a lot of times when women start dating or men start dating, when you just start dating in general, you're always going to put your best foot forward. A lot of times people put their best foot forward. So I think it's just smart to just take things slow and to really try and make sure that people are, um, what the heck? Um,
There's nothing happening. I don't understand.
my phone is like blowing up. I thought you could hear it.
No, I couldn't hear it. So just start over.
Okay.
It's doing that thing again, so you need to hurry. Where the
Okay.
white line is
Um,
on the bottom.
I think, and I
You got to
think a lot
start
of
all the way
time,
from the beginning. Go ahead.
um, I also wanted to say that I think a lot of times people, when they first start dating, put their best foot forward. And I think you just need to take dating slow and really not, again, look at somebody's potential, but look at what's really going on in front of you, what their actions are, and assess the red flags from there. And also make sure that you're talking to people like your friends or your mom or whoever that are going to give you solid advice. I know that a lot of times some of your friends have come to me and been like, oh, this is going on or whatever. And I'm like, hey, girl, that's a big red flag. Like, you probably shouldn't be dating that person. And they don't want to hear that. But I'm just giving them my honest opinion from I'm not invested in the way they're invested. So I'm on the outside looking in and I just want the best for them. So find somebody that you can do that with, that you can bounce things off of so that you can recognize the red flags and say, okay, it's not just me being paranoid. That's really what's happening.
I'm so glad you brought up the friend thing because I think a lot of girls, when they get into relationships, forget that their friends were there first. And I mean
Mm-hmm.
that really the nicest way I can. But a lot of the times we wear rose colored glasses. And sometimes your friends are going to actually see the red flags first and more often than you will
Yeah.
because you're in love, you're happy, or you're feeling all those chemicals and hormones going off in your brains, and your friends are not. So they're going to see those red flags before you ever see them, and it might help save a little bit of a heartache in the long run, if that makes sense.
Yeah. 100%. Save you time and energy, hands down.
Okay, well, that was it for our dating spooks. And if you guys like this episode, let us know on Instagram. We would love to hear all of your thoughts. If you guys have any ideas or concerns or questions for a podcast, we would love to answer them because this is all for you guys. We love being there for you.
And if you like this episode, don't forget to share it with a friend and to like and subscribe. Don't forget that in this space, you're never alone. You can always
call your mom. I don't have the sign.